An estimated 7,000 men, women, and children are traveling from Central America through Mexico with hopes of making it into the United States. They crossed into Mexico over the weekend, despite efforts by Mexican officials to block their entrance. Meantime, President Trump is promising to use the military to seal the U.S. border and is turning the caravan into an issue in the midterm elections. He tweeted this morning, "Every time you see a caravan or people illegally coming or attempting to come into our country illegally, think of and blame the Democrats for not giving us the votes to change our pathetic immigration laws. Remember the midterms, so unfair to those who come in legally." He also tweeted, "Criminals and unknown Middle Easterners are mixed in. I have alerted Border Patrol and military that this is a national emergency." However, for fact's sake, there is no evidence to support the president's claim that large numbers of Middle Easterners are mixed into this group of people. NBC News has reviewed multiple internal U.S. government documents that show people from all over the world, including the Middle East, have attempted to cross the U.S.-Mexico border for years now, but those numbers are extremely small compared to the numbers of Central Americans coming to claim asylum. MSNBC's Mariana Atencio is in southern Mexico, traveling with the migrant caravan or alongside them. Mariana, who are these people? What's going on with this caravan?
Right now, Ali, you can see the migrant caravan is on the move. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people making their way from Tapachula, exiting the city just now. They're moving onto the highway here to my right to make it to the city of Huixla, which is an 8-hour walk northwest of Mexico. If you see some of the people behind me, there's men, there's women, there's children. There's so many children at the heart of this caravan, Ali. Most of them from Central America, namely Honduras. They tell me the extreme violence in that country, the contested presidential election last November, and the gang violence, the lack of economic opportunity has led them here to flee for their lives. I also spoke to many of them about what the president has been tweeting about this morning, the criminal elements that he said were mixed in this caravan. Some young men plainly told me, when you're talking about 7,000 people, it is impossible not to have one or two, quote unquote, bad people within this caravan. But they said mostly it is just people fleeing for their lives. And it's actually the contrary. Instead of finding violence within the caravan, for them, it's actually about safety in numbers. Many of the mothers, many of the children you see here behind me, they prefer to join this caravan to be able to move in a safer way and keep gangs and cartels from preying on them in the journey north. You see, again, some of the young children here, they're moving about in strollers. This is an extremely exhausting journey, Ali. We walked with them for 20 miles yesterday. It's over 90 degrees here in the blazing hot sun. Many of them don't have food, don't have diapers for their kids. So when you talk to them, they say we wouldn't be doing this if it weren't to provide our children with a better life. Ali?
Mariana, what about the president's comments specifically about sending the military to seal the border? Does this change the way any of these migrants think about this?
Not really, Ali. If you saw what the images from Mexico last Friday when they were tear gassed by Mexican soldiers, but they were undeterred. They are still here and moving about in this country. They say that they've already made it here. And for many of them, the goal, despite what President Trump is saying, continues to be the United States. However, it is not all of them. Some do say that they are willing to stay in Mexico, that they're just looking for a place where they can hold a job and provide their children with a better life. Also of note, Ali, as we were walking along this highway, making our way to the city of Huixla, you start seeing the flags, flag of Nicaragua, Honduras, people singing the national anthem, and also the communities here in Mexico praying for them. So it's little shows of solidarity in the midst of this desperation, because locals, many of them tell me this is a massive exodus, unlike what many people here have ever seen before.
Mariana, I'm going to interview my next guest, but I'm going to keep your camera up so that we can watch this as it's happening. Mariana Atencio for us just outside of Tapachula, Mexico. Joining me live now is the former U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Roberta Jacobson. She served in that role under President Obama, then under President Trump until this past May. In all, she has served as a diplomat for 30 years under 5 presidents. She joins us now live via Skype from Guadalajara, Mexico. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. Let's just talk about what's going on here. President Trump is promising to send the U.S. military to the border, possibly to seal off the border entirely. What's your reaction?
Well, Thanks for having me, Ali. My first reaction is that it's an impossibility. I'm not sure whether posse comitatus or other U.S. legal restrictions would keep our military from being able to do what the president said. But de facto, it's simply not possible. We have a 2,000-mile border with Mexico, and it's impossible to seal it off. We have commerce. We have folks crossing legally, $1.6 billion in trade that's done every day. You simply can't seal the border.
You actually point out in an article you've written recently that for 27 states, Mexico is either the first or the second largest destination for exports. So, you know, we do sort of miss the point. The president is characterizing the Mexican border as simply a place for migrants to come in, but so much more happens there.
No, that's exactly right. It's the lifeblood of those 27 states for whom it's the first or second export destination. And those are states not just along the border, obviously, if there are that many of them. They're as far north as Wisconsin, Michigan, other places. And indeed, they are critical. That thoroughfare, if you will, between the United States and Mexico is critical for our own economy, our integrated economies. That's one of the reasons why we have a new North American trade agreement, because we know how critical for manufacturing for all sorts of industries in the United States, not just the auto industry.
The president, in one of his 3 tweets about the Caravan today, said Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador were not able to do the job of stopping people from leaving their country and coming illegally to the United States. We will now begin cutting off or substantially reducing the massive foreign aid routinely given to them. The president is touching on something that's very important here, and that is the reason people leave Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua to come to the United States is in large part because of the social and economic issues that they face in their home countries. Perhaps our goal to reduce the flow of immigrants from those countries might be to strengthen those economies rather than weaken them further.
That's exactly right. You've hit the nail on the head. We seem to come to the table always with sticks and never with carrots. Obviously, increased trade, increased commerce is what's going to keep people in their own countries. They don't necessarily want to do this trek. You can see from the pictures. They're doing it because they don't feel they have the opportunities at home or because they're fleeing violence. And so 2 of the things the president said there are just not correct. First, cutting off the aid is only going to make the matter worse. People are going to come and the economies of those countries are going to be even worse. Our aid is not enormous, but it's critical for those countries to continue trying to stimulate economic development. But the second is this notion that countries can stop people from leaving their own borders. In very few countries of the world,
right,
and certainly no democratic countries, can you prevent a citizen from leaving. That would look a little bit like the Berlin Wall, where
right,
you try and keep people in. And so the notion that any country, let alone one that has a security situation like these do, can pen people in is simply not the case. It's neither practical nor is it something we'd want to see.
In the same op-ed in the New York Times on Sunday, you wrote that it was called My Year as a Trump Ambassador. Some disorder is normal at the start of an administration, but it was extreme under Mr. Trump. You highlight that the policies toward Mexico generally, immigrants, migrants, trade, have been disorderly under this president.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem in that consistency and coherence is part of what makes us a reliable ally, and we have not had that. Mexico is a critical trading partner of the United States. It has done as well as it can over recent years. There are more things that can be done to grow its economy. But you've got a lot of people in industries as varied as the dairy industry, which is highly integrated, or aerospace, which these 2 economies are linked, and our prosperity is linked to Mexico's prosperity. And while even at this conference I'm attending, we've had somebody say, don't listen to what President Trump says, just see what he does. Mexicans are listening to what the president says. And when he vilifies Mexicans as criminals or rapists, when he vilifies Central Americans as criminals, they do hear that. And it has made the relationship very, very difficult at times. And when we expect cooperation from countries, it's not something that you usually get better cooperation from countries when you're constantly calling them names.
Yeah, well, that seems to be happening a lot around the world as it relates to the United States. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. Ambassador Roberta Jacobson, former U.S. ambassador to Mexico. All right, an important nuclear